Welcome back to Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and we're diving into episode 4 of Gen V, and wow, what a ride. This one is a full-on roller coaster. We finally get clues about who Cypher might really be, Emma figures out a new way to control her powers, and we meet the one and only Bushmaster. But to get there, we have to wade through Kate's unraveling powers, Jordan being re-traumatized, and unfortunately an array of dead animals. Still, this episode peels back more layers of Odessa and gives us a clearer picture of what Godolkin is really after. So let's get into all of it in this breakdown because there's so much going on. But first, make sure to check out nerdride.shop where you can find the latest and greatest in new Rockstars merch. We have some Godolkin University merch because we know you guys like that collegiate apparel. Make sure to check out nerdride.shop. You know, it's just to make you look good. Make you look good in college clothes. All right, now let's get into the breakdown. Episode 4 is titled Bags, and boy, we'll learn exactly what that means and how I was 80% correct. I'll give you a good old-fashioned spoiler warning now because, you know, I'll be spoiling episode 4, so if you haven't watched it, go watch it and then come back to the breakdown. By the end of this episode, though, this is where the spoiler comes in. Have you left the room? Okay, I'm gonna assume you left the room. Cypher drops a bombshell. He claims that the man in the chamber is his father, and naturally, we all assume that man is Thomas Godolkin himself. It makes sense that Thomas may have barely survived the fire in 1967. Remember, the compound V spilled across the lab and mixed with the fumes, and everything just went up in chaos. It's very possible that Thomas was kept alive, placed in stasis, and either healed directly by compound V, or maybe he had contracted compound V through the skin in the facility just when it was all on the ground and everything was exploding. There's also a chance that this could be someone else entirely new or someone that we've seen briefly. It could be that guy that took the compound V and then immediately combusted into flames and just started thrashing around the room. But given Cypher's words, it feels like the writers want us to believe that that is Thomas and that Cypher is his son, and we'll get into his potential powers and what this reveal really means by the end of this breakdown. The episode opens with the truth bomb with Firecracker. According to Gina Southern Friends, bless your heart is like a polite way of saying you, and Enter the Gaytrix is obviously a play on Enter the Matrix. The headline reads, "A woke plague at God you, cultural Marxists infiltrate God you." And we'll see a lot of headlines this episode, and for those who watch The Boys or Gen V outside of the US but recognize its satirical take on fearful, over-the-top far-right media, it's just about the same in our country. Uncomfortably close, some would say, but you know. Comedy is reality, or reality is comedy, you know how it goes. Cultural Marxist is also a term or like conspiracy theorists use a lot, same as like far-right commentators, to basically just summarize progressive social movements as a negative, secretive like takeover. Also, I'm sure it's intentional that the footage over this headline is of course the statue of A-Train, the black superhero. It switches to the B-roll of campus and we see a banner that says, "Exceed your expectations, make America proud," and we love some Vought nationalism. We also see the resist spray painted everywhere that we found out last episode was Harper's doing. This headline then reads, for Jordan, pronouns he, she, liar, and under that, lying for Starlight Soy Flakes, which is 100% a play off Snowflake or a mashup of the term like soy boy, the weird insult trolls use to say that you're weak, and snowflake, the term to mock liberals. It then switches to a photo of Kate with the headline, "Kate Dunlap, real woman," and patriotic blonde speaks out. She also is called a shiro, like a female hero. This is Firecracker show, not mine. Kate lies and says Starlighters attacked her, and the headline reads, "Vought source, DEI is to blame." And we've already theorized that Gen V would mock the current backlash against DEI, the diversity, equity, and inclusion in America, and this moment perfectly mirrors how people blame those initiatives for ruining everything else. Then we get a video of clout chasing Justine, and the headline says, "Beloved God you student, victim of trans agenda." Under that it says, "Innocent female victim of God you groomer." She's fueling that harmful narrative that mirrors the rhetoric in American conservatives that they use to target trans folks and restrict bathroom use. Even though Jordan has already publicly identified as bigendered, Justine instead reinforces that same like anti-trans talking points that dominate our real wild-ass world that we're living in. You, Justine. They're throwing everything at the wall here. They're just blaming trans people, DEI, Starlighters. It's just like our real world, except for Starlighters aren't really real. But you get the point. They're mimicking real life. We then are with Marie, Jordan, Cypher, and Seth Reed is back. Seth is the in-house marketing writer for Vought. On The Boys, he joined a support group after the Soup Ice Princess froze off his dick when they were having sex, so I guess he'd get along well with Rufus, as two dickless people. Seth is pitching a public fight between Marie and Jordan. They call it the Bloodbender versus the Gender Bender. God damn it. This is horrible. This is all bad. Those writers are going crazy in that room. The weather is starting to change, and before I had Miracle Made sheets, that meant I'd have to trade out my summer sheets for some thicker fall fabric. But now I don't have to. I can sleep on the same sheets all year long. Miracle Made's fabric was inspired by NASA, so it's thermoregulating. That means you'll sleep at the perfect temperature all night long, and these sheets are crazy comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. Plus, Miracle Made sheets are infused with silver that prevents bacterial growth, and bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne, so sleeping on Miracle Made sheets is good for your skin too. Upgrade your sleep as the weather changes. Go to trymiracle.com/newrockstars to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use promo New Rockstars at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/newrockstars and use the code NEWROCKSTARS to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/newrockstars to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring today's video. The fact that Vought was immediately inclined to swerve and control the narrative rather than bury it is really, like conglomerate PR 101. During this planning session, Cypher flips out.
You do not have a choice!
This man is stressed and irritated, and it's important to note that this man may be Thomas Godolkin, who has never cared about these kids or their lives, only about their powers. Therefore, hearing Marie, Jordan, or anyone else make decisions based on their emotions probably just pisses him off. It interferes with his research and his studies. And just as I suspected last episode, anyone can manipulate Marie into doing whatever they want by threatening to send Emma and Jordan back to Elmira. That prison, which clearly left both of them permanently traumatized, is a living nightmare, so they have to fight or else they're sent away. Now at Emma's dorm room, I like that you can see the little chairs in the background for when she's small. When Marie tries to convince Jordan and Emma that they should team up with Kate to deal with Cypher, she starts quoting the classic proverb, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," but Emma, in perfect Emma fashion, hilariously twisted into,
"And the enemy of my enemy is extra enemy. F*** her forever."
I just love Emma so much. I'm always gonna be Team Emma. When they knock on Kate's door, Jordan is in their male form, something they do a lot of the time when they're trying to look and seem more intimidating. I'm also assuming Kate's hair is the wig from Beyonce's Norwegian Twins at this point. I'm never gonna get over that conspiracy theory. Emma, Harper, and Allie then get stoned, and Allie mentions something about Cypher making them kill each other like some kind of emperor, and while lots of emperors you could argue did this, I assume she's making a Roman sort of gladiator style reference, seeing as we all call Cypher's class now
Gladiator murder class?
And Emma once again just wants to shit up. She wants sabotaging to happen. We learn that Allie's dad paid for the library to get her accepted into God U, but she also has this pube manipulation as a power, which is wild, and we'll see that crazy power in action later, and I'm sure I can't show it. Actually, maybe I can, because we're just gonna show the hair. No one needs to know where the hair came from. I also love that she mentions Medusa, meaning Medusa from mythology. Still, this power is an obvious play on Medusa, the Inhuman, who could manipulate the hair on her head, which was a pretty badass power. These writers are always just going, let's pick a super someone from Marvel and DC and then do the most version of that, and I love it. The guy who was flirting with Emma in the Modesty Monarchs influencer class is Allie's brother, Greg, played by Stephen Thomas Kalin. And if you paid close attention to the set leaked photos a while ago, you knew he was going to be the new love interest for Emma this season. They learned that Kate has never actually seen Cypher use his powers, and she hasn't read his mind either. My original theory went in a few directions. Maybe Cypher wasn't even human. Maybe he had taken Godolkin's mind or consciousness, or maybe he was Godolkin's son, which Cypher later claims, though I can tell that he is definitely lying. Gina's theory is that she thinks that the guy calling himself Cypher is just a regular old human, and that Thomas Godolkin is still alive, and his old body was kept in that vault. And her take is that Godolkin is funneling his brain or consciousness into this poor guy and puppeting him around, and honestly, I hard agree. That's 100% what is happening. It's kind of both of our pitches, I will say. We then get a promo for Vought Sports Network. We haven't really seen this chapter of Vought Plus, though it's not uncommon for Vought to hold sporting events for live pay-per-view. Remember, they televised A-Train versus Shockwave back in the day. They show promo images from the past fights, Battle of the Sexes with Queen Maeve versus the Deep, Flightless versus Sightless, which is clearly very problematic. Flightless is for Eagle the Archer, a Hawkeye stand-in who we met in season 2 of The Boys. He was a member of the Church of the Collective, who were kind of like Scientologists. They tried to recruit the Deep. Archer later left the church and started a career as a rapper, and the other fighter is Blind Spot, a Daredevil stand-in who auditioned for a spot in the 7, and Homelander smashed his ears, making him deaf and essentially just taking his superpower away, which was really hard to watch. Cameron Coleman announced that he was missing, so I assume the dude is dead and Bot just covered it up. Then there's Heroes and Gods, and of course it's just Homelander. The man cutting the promos is actually Isaac Robinson Smith, who voiced Bishop in X-Men 97, according to the credits. The promo says no safe space, which is a play on the right wing making fun of safe spaces for liberals. Then Jordan tells Kate that their image was deep faked for the promo, and I probably don't need to explain that one, but if you don't know, it's when you like digitally alter photos and info used to spread fake news and fake information. I don't need to get into it. Kate then warns Jordan not to read the comments though, because she made a horrible movie that's called Flip. Remember that one? And the comments weren't nice about that movie, and I bet a lot of people were nice about that stupid looking movie. Release the flipped cut. As they patrol Cypher's house, they see him leaving riding this bike with a helmet, which is really weird and funny. It's also an important detail to remember. Cypher, we think, is still under control of Thomas Godolkin. This weird bike ride could mean one of two things. Either A, he can't drive a car while controlling someone, or B, he's simply more comfortable with a bike. After all, bikes haven't changed much since the 1960s, making them a simpler, more familiar choice of transportation for him. And then once again, Jordan switches to the male form to look more intimidating as they approach this guard. The guard patrolling Cypher's house is a human, you can tell by his badge, and Kate's powers are just so bad and broken when she told the guard to leave. I don't think I can show this, but he starts guard and gnome instead, so that's where we're at with her powers. Good job, Kate. Things up again. Now inside the house, I just want to highlight the fact that the writers wrote Kate saying,
"He's rearranging a gnome's guts right now."
Which is so funny. That's such a funny line. I love it. 1966 is cherished by the association is playing when Jordan and Kate enter this scary room and we see the dude in the hyperbaric chamber is totally Godolkin. An interesting note that may be due to the fire, but his eyes are sort of less milky than Victoria Newman's when she'd make heads explode. That was our visual indication that she was actively using her bloodbending powers. And I wonder if the same idea is used here on Godolkin when using his mind controlling one, or whoever this burnt man may be. It's probably Godolkin. I think it's Thomas Godolkin. Also, this man loves 60s love songs. Can't Take My Eyes Off You and Cherish. Get the out of here. So we're guessing he didn't die and somehow got these powers, and that power was to enter the consciousness of other people's bodies. So he's clearly in this chamber and probably makes the human vessel that is Cypher take care of him. And a big detail that might come into play after this episode's reveal is the fact that he can control people, and so can Kate. We saw Kate push her powers into the nurse, causing her to kill another nurse in a panic after being upset and so distraught. That scene felt really intense and frankly a little too wild for me. At the time, it only reinforced the idea that Kate is very dangerous and to be feared when we're trying to improve that idea. But now I'm wondering if that moment was meant to align her with Cypher, similar to how Victoria Newman began to align herself with Marie. Like Marie, Kate might be able to control people without physical contact, and this season, everyone's bettering their powers, which might extend to Kate as well. Maybe Cypher just doesn't want to work with Kate like Marie because he sees her as a nuisance or less of a soup since she can't fix herself, regenerate, or heal. Now with Cypher and Marie, Cypher has Marie moving these blood bags from one table to the other without them exploding, and the noise of these blood bags moving is very gross. I hate it. And like a Rorschach painting, it spills onto this white table. Weirdly, Marie asks this.
And what happens if I can do this?
Miracles. Miracles beyond your imagination.
Which should remind us of what Pam said about Annabeth.
Then what about Annabeth? No medical intervention needed there. Turns out Annabeth was the real miracle.
It could be a stretch, but there's a chance maybe if Marie can perfect her blood manipulation, she could absolutely help people like her mother who deal with infertility. We don't know to the extent of what Marie can do with her blood-bending powers, but I assume it's gotta be like big in medicine. He then tells her to drop her hand because it actually doesn't do anything, and respectfully, we never saw Victoria Newman, who had similar powers, have to raise her hand whatsoever, and it worked. The crazy part is the fact that she can make the blood move. Might as well make it fly. So she can make the blood lift, so she can make a human lift, so that means Marie can eventually fly. Now with Emma and Harper, who is helping Emma control her powers, Emma says Daniel Day-Lewis gets himself to cry by sitting on his balls.
When Daniel Day-Lewis wants to cry, he just remembers when he sat on his balls.
And he is known to be a method actor, but he won an Oscar for My Left Foot, There Will Be Blood, and Lincoln. And none of those, I believe, you would have to sit on your balls and cry for. Unless you want to argue that he sat on his balls and cried during Lincoln, but I don't think he did that. Back with Marie and Cypher, they named this goat Elon, so you knew this goat was gonna die. He says we're all just blood bags, walking, talking blood bags, the name of the episode kinda, and this is definitely the consciousness of Godolkin inside some poor hollowed out normie husk. There is no way a normal man would say this unless he's a walking, talking talking puppet. And in one easy line, Cypher airs out Odessa and Marie.
I know you know that I was at your delivery. You figured out you're part of something called Odessa.
We learned that Thomas Godolkin, aka Cypher, was committed to creating the most powerful soups. Like Annie said, he's an ambitious little shit. To which Marie argues, soup's more powerful than Homelander? Why would Homelander want that? Why would anyone want that? And Cypher simply counters it by asking if she isn't at least a little bit intrigued by the idea. And honestly, Marie's right to question it. Why create a new contingency plan when the last ones keep failing? After Soldier Boy, we got Homelander, and both turned out unstable. But that's the gamble of power. For Vought, it's not just about stability, it's about control, profit, and dominating. Creating soups as powerful as Marie could neutralize global threats, could keep rogue soups in check, and let Vought further monopolize soup powers. And as for Thomas Godolkin, his goal was kind of always clear: to unlock the ultimate soup. Then we see Marie levitate Elon and make that poor blood bag explode when she recognizes that Cypher is actually a human. He's a husk, he's a shell of a man. Then he demands the next sheep to come in, which is Julia Fox, who's starring in him right now. Back with the gang planning, Emma is using Kate as a servant, demanding the worst flavor of seltzer ever to be created. The sad fact is the brand of the beverage is Popclaw. Popclaw we saw way back in The Boys. She was dating A-Train, who killed her in a staged death to look like she OD'd to cover up that she was being blackmailed by the boys. It was sad. She was one of the sadder deaths. We're now at Vought International Hotel and Spa. We then see their promos. Jordan Lee, 5'4" and 5'10", weight class flyweight and welterweight. These are two weight classes in boxing. As we know, they're ranked #1, and we got a glimpse at those power skills, and I like that testosterone is simply just one of them. While Marie is a flyweight, unranked, with such skills as super strength and hemokinesis, aka blood manipulation, baby. Allie hooks Emma up with a tiny camera that Emma stores into her Barbie backpack. Then Emma gives her the soup named Bushmaster, which she's very into. Also, I'm pretty sure that was a character in Luke Cage. In the Godolkin VIP box, Cypher now sits with Kate. And weird note, this plant is shaped like a dick. For what reason? I don't know. And once again, when they're scared and trying to appear tougher, Jordan then switches to the male form, and Marie calls it out here by saying, "You don't have to be tough, not with me." And I'm worried that these two are definitely going to break up by the end of the season, and I don't want it to, but they keep restoring like how much in love they are with each other, and it's only leading to disaster. Jordan talks about how they got their powers at 6 years old and instantly hid them, but they kept going through a reoccurring nightmare where they see people pointing and yelling at them, which is horrible, knowing that they're about to walk into this arena of people pointing and yelling at them. Emma navigates through the pipes with a small finger flashlight, but the plan falls apart when the water starts flowing back through the pipes, forcing Emma to rush out. She's safe though, thankfully. Allie uses her kinda gross power to stop the water from running. Cypher then says, "My father sends his regards," referring to the man in the chamber, while Emma's stuck in the toilet, and grossly, Cypher then goes in there to take a dump, and for no reason but this being the boys universe and being too much, and I'm sure I can't show you on YouTube, we see straight up dick and balls. Jesus Christ. And you know what? We can't show this on YouTube, but maybe we'll upload it later to Pornhub. Who knows? This arena is branded. The outer edges you see are sponsored by Patriot Cow, which might be a new one. I assume it's for Vought Fresh Farms, where Firecracker gushed about their pure white cow milk. Turbo Rush is A-Train's energy drink, as we know. They got Resuperate, and Cicero's is the last one. We saw an ad for Cicero's on the bus stop at the Starlighters vs. Home Teamers protest where Marie shut them Home Teamers down. Emma, now safe, tells them that turning her brain off allowed her to grow again, which might be the next move and might be really challenging when you're still dealing with trauma, but we're taking baby steps with Emma and she's doing great. Kate acknowledges Cypher's human, and Cypher immediately notices the hidden camera. Then he shows Kate how he can make Jordan not only change, but start beating the shit out of Marie. Cypher is way smarter than these teens, which makes sense if he's actually Thomas Godolkin, a super smart scientist who's now been alive for almost 100 years. So Cypher loses control a bit. You can tell by the blinking that it's lost, and Marie doesn't make Jordan explode, thankfully, but this still doesn't make things easier. I'm guessing it's hard for Godolkin, if he's controlling Cypher, to also control Jordan like this. If he's the dude in the hyperbaric chamber using Cypher as his body, his eyes, and his ears, then he's pretty physically far away from this arena right now, hence why it seems like Cypher is straining a bit. That also may have been why he suddenly just had to take a shit. Maybe his body is like trying to get out of this Godolkin stasis. After Marie and Jordan kiss, Jordan feels okay again and changes from male to female form, but this also lets Cypher unleash Jordan's female form powers against Marie, and she sends a shield blast right her way. And then he says it again, like a meat puppet with no strings, which brings us back to the idea that humans are really just blood bags that can be manipulated. And then that wraps up episode 4. Excuse me, what's going on? Right now, we believe Cypher is still under Godolkin's control, even though he claims that the man in the chamber is his father, a lie that I'm sure Godolkin likely created to cover up for being in Dean Shetty's old house. If anyone ever found out he was there, he'd just be like, "Oh, that's my dad." He's just always one step ahead of these kids though, so I'm wondering, what if he actually wanted them to find out? God, I don't know why. Godolkin using Cypher as a vessel would also make sense as to why they've gone back to celebrating Godolkin Day. He's celebrating himself and wants the students to reinvigorate his original core values and goals. Thomas Godolkin may have the ability to manipulate people, but we saw him blink uncontrollably while controlling Jordan, a hint that either A, his powers isn't strong enough to control multiple people at once, hence why Jordan was instantly released, or B, it works less effectively on supes, but flawlessly on humans. It's also worth noting that he might be using human bodies as cameras to keep an eye on the gang. Oh my god, he's just using everybody. That's probably why they still allow humans on campus. And this all happens in episode 4. Doesn't it feel like the finale level kind of twist? This is just a hint of the major messed up shit that's still coming this season. We still don't fully know what everyone wants from Odessa or Marie, but we can surmise that Cypher Godolkin wants the best possible soup, or maybe someone who can fix him in that chamber. Also, where the hell is Polarity? Where the hell is Sam? Those two are probably doing things that we should really be focused on because they're kind of also unstable. Comment down below with your thoughts and theories on episode 4 of Gen V, and a special thanks to one of our YouTube members, Paulo Bianca, who supports us at the executive producer level. Follow me at Lulu Clemons, and a big thanks to Gina Ippolito for helping me write this bad boy. Subscribe to all the channels in the new Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching. I mean, go be a vessel.